I want you to close your eyes for just a second. We're going to start right in the thick of it. Imagine waking up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that, crisp, refreshing movie-style morning where the sun hits your face and you just jump out of bed. It's
Yeah,
heavy.
it's that gravity.
Exactly. You keep your eyes closed because there is this physical weight pressing down on your chest.
Yeah.
It's not just being tired. It feels like gravity's been turned up to 11, but just for you.
Right.
You know you have emails to answer. You know you need a shower. The ceiling is right there staring at you, but your body feels like it's encased in concrete. Or maybe moving through quicksand.
Yeah.
And every single motion, even just twitching a finger, feels like it requires this Herculean effort. And the longer you lie there, the louder the guilt gets.
It's a paralyzing feeling. And what's so fascinating, and also tragic, is that while this is all happening internally, the world outside is just, continuing at full speed.
Right.
It expects productivity. It
Yeah.
expects you to be on. But your internal battery isn't just low, it's practically non-existent.
And that is the specific conflict we're exploring today. We aren't looking at some niche problem here. I mean, we're looking at a universal human experience that just feels incredibly lonely when you're in it.
It does.
We've pulled together a really interesting stack of ideas for this deep dive concepts from executive function theory, behavioral activation, and the psychology of depression. We're trying to answer one question. When the world wants you to work, but your brain feels like it's shutting down, how do you function?
And I think we need to be very specific about the mission of this deep dive. Because usually when people talk about productivity, they're talking about optimization. They're talking about squeezing more juice out of the lemon.
Right. How to squeeze an extra hour out of your day or how to 10x your output, all that stuff.
Exactly. We're not doing that. This is not about hustle culture. We aren't going to talk about how to crush your goals or optimize your workflow for maximum output. If you're feeling that weight we just described, that advice isn't just useless.
It's actively harmful.
It is. It just reinforces the shame.
It feels like a slap in the face. It's like telling someone with a broken leg to just run faster.
It is. So we aren't trying to fix you, because the premise here is that you aren't broken. You're just managing a heavy load. We're talking about survival. We're talking about kindness.
Okay.
We are looking for a guide to being productive, whatever that word even means in this context, without the guilt, without the shame, and without pretending that everything is fine when it clearly isn't.
So this is basically productivity for the rest of us, the ones currently stuck in the quicksand.
Ideally, yes. It's about using psychology to hack a system that is currently struggling to function. It's about understanding that when you are carrying a heavy load, you can't move the same way you do when you are unburdened.
You have to change the physics.
You have to change the physics of how you move.
Okay, let's talk physics then. Let's go back to that morning scenario. You're in the quicksand, the alarm has gone off, the to-do list in your head is already screaming at you. Shower, breakfast, commute, work. It feels impossible. But why? Why does a simple thing like getting up feel like climbing Everest?
It feels impossible because in that state, biologically, it is nearly impossible. See, when we look at a morning routine, we think of it as one singular action, get ready.
Right.
But to a brain dealing with depression or, extreme executive dysfunction, get ready isn't one task. It's a sequence of about 20 complex tasks.
Break that down for me, because to me, get ready just feels like getting ready.
Well, think about it mechanically. It's throwing off the covers. It's facing the cold air, that's sensory input. It's finding the floor. It's engaging all the muscles to stand up. It's walking to the bathroom, turning the tap.
Wow.
Each one of those steps costs energy. And if your activation energy, the spark needed to start a reaction, is depleted, you just stall out before you even begin.
Activation energy, that's a chemistry term, right?
It is. It's the minimum amount of energy required for a reaction to happen. In chemistry, if you don't have enough heat or pressure, the reaction just doesn't happen.
And in this case?
In this case, the reaction is getting out of bed. And when you're depressed, the required activation energy is sky high, but your fuel reserves are totally empty.
So how do we hack that? Because we still need to, exist. We can't just stay in bed forever, as much as we might want to sometimes.
The strategy here is the micro step. And I have to emphasize, I don't mean small steps, I mean microscopic.
Microscopic.
You have to break the movement down to the absolute smallest unit of measurement possible.
The material we reviewed gave some examples of this that honestly sounded, well, almost ridiculous at first, like wiggle your toes.
It does sound ridiculous to a healthy brain. But look at the visualization. The goal isn't get out of bed.
Too big.
Way too big. It requires too much activation energy. The goal is take the covers off your face. That's it. That is the whole mission.
Or even small.
Or maybe it is even smaller. Maybe it is just wiggle your big toe.
It feels like we're setting the bar on the floor, actually, like beneath the floor.
We are digging a hole and putting the bar in it. That's the whole point. It isn't about the toe. It isn't about sliding to the edge of the mattress or drinking that stale glass of water on the nightstand.
So what's it about?
It is about breaking the state of paralysis.
So it's about momentum.
It's about Newton's first law. An object at rest stays at rest. When you are frozen, the hardest part is the initiation of movement.
Right.
By setting the bar so low that it is virtually impossible to fail, like wiggling a finger, you prove to your nervous system that movement is actually possible.
You're cracking the ice.
Exactly. You are signaling to your brain, specifically the parts telling you that you are trapped, that you still have agency. You are not dead.
Okay.
The bigger tasks, the shower, the emails, they can wait. The only goal in that first moment is to bridge the gap between stillness and motion.
That makes sense. It's convincing your body that you aren't a statue. But okay, let's say we wiggle the toe. We sit up, we bridge that gap. Then we look around the room and we see the pile of laundry, we see the dusty shelves, and that I can't do this feeling comes rushing right back.
Right. You hit the next wall. And this is a wall that stops even the most capable people. But it's just devastating when you're depressed.
What is it?
It's the perfectionism trap.
Oh, I know this one. It's the voice that says, well, if I can't do a full hour workout, there's no point in even putting on sneakers. Or if I can't clean the whole kitchen, I might as well just leave it a disaster zone.
It's the all-or-nothing fallacy. It's a classic cognitive distortion.
Define that for us. Cognitive distortion.
It's basically a pattern of thinking that isn't true, but it feels true. Your brain convinces you of a reality that doesn't actually exist. In this case, it suggests that value is binary. Either you are a success with a capital S, or you are a failure.
And there's nothing in between.
There is no gray area. And when you are low on energy, you know you can't hit success, so you just default to nothing.
And the guilt that comes with that is just crushing. You look at a messy room, and instead of seeing a room that needs cleaning, you see a moral failing. You see evidence that you were lazy.
Which is why we have to aggressively reframe what success looks like.
Yeah.
We need to adopt a mantra here. Done is better than perfect.
Done is better than perfect. It's catchy, but let's stress test it. Because in the moment, a half-done job feels sloppy. It feels like quitting.
It feels sloppy, sure. But let's look at the utility of it.
Yeah.
Take that messy room. A perfectly clean room is the ideal. A messy room is the reality.
Okay.
But a half-cleaned room, a room where maybe just the trash is picked up, even if the clothes are still on the floor, is objectively, physically better than the messy one. It is a more functional space.
It's strictly utilitarian. You aren't winning an award for home design, but you also aren't tripping over garbage.
Yes. Or take food. This is a classic struggle.
Yeah.
You don't have the energy to cook a healthy, balanced, Instagram-worthy meal. So the depression brain says, well, I just won't eat. Or I'll just eat junk and feel bad about it.
Right, because if I can't make the perfect salad, I might as well starve.
That's the distortion. But eating a snack, a handful of almonds, a piece of toast, is better than starving. It nourishes your body. It provides fuel. Is it perfect? No. Is it done? Yes. And done keeps you alive.
What about exercise? That's always the first thing to go for me when I'm stressed. And then I feel guilty about losing progress, which just makes me want to exercise even less.
That is the cycle.
Yeah.
But if you can't make it to the gym, but you moved from the bed to the couch, that is movement. That is a change of state.
Yeah.
If you can't write the whole report, but you answer one email, that is progress.
It's really about stripping away the judgment, because judgment is heavy, right? It just adds to that weight we talked about in the intro.
That's the key. Beating yourself up takes energy. It is an active metabolic process. When you stand in the middle of a messy room and berate yourself for being messy, you are burning the very limited fuel you have.
Fuel you could be using.
Fuel that you could have used to just pick up one sock. Self-compassion isn't just nice or soft. In this context, it is efficient. It preserves energy for the things that actually matter.
I like that framing, self-compassion as efficiency. Because usually we think of self-compassion as, letting ourselves off the hook. But you're saying it's strategic.
It is purely strategic. You have a limited battery. Do you want to spend 20% of it on guilt or 20% of it on washing your face?
So if we're actively conserving energy, that leads us perfectly into the next strategy, energy management. Because if your battery's at 5%, you can't run the same apps you run when you're at 100%.
Exactly. You need a low power mode. And this starts with how we look at our to-do lists.
Standard to-do lists are terrifying. Clean kitchen, write project proposal, call insurance company. Just reading that makes me want to go back to bed.
Because those are high-energy tasks. They're vague and they're large. And to the amygdala, the threat detection center of the brain, vague tasks look like threats. They look like pain.
So what's the alternative?
When you are depressed, you need a low-energy to-do list.
So what does that look like? How do we translate the scary list into the low-energy list without just, deleting things we actually need to do?
You lower the barrier to entry until it feels almost negligible. Instead of clean the kitchen, the task is pick up one dish and put it in the sink.
Okay, I can do that. One dish.
Instead of take a shower, which involves undressing, water temperature, washing, drying off, the task becomes wash face, or even just brush teeth.
And for work, instead of write the report.
Write one sentence.
One sentence, that feels almost too easy.
Just one. The logic here is that we are trying to bypass that threat detection system. A big task looks like a tiger. Right? One sentence just flies under the radar.
Yeah.
The brain says, oh, I can do that. That won't hurt me.
It sounds almost deceptive. We're tricking our own brains.
We absolutely are. We are hacking the operating system. And this connects directly to the 5-minute rule, which works on the same principle.
This is one of my favorites. Walk us through it.
It's a negotiation. You tell yourself, I am only going to do this task for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I have full permission, guilt-free, to stop and go back to bed.
It's a safety net. You aren't signing a contract for 4 hours of deep work. You're just signing up for 5 minutes.
And here is where the magic happens. We call it the momentum effect. Once you overcome that initial friction, once you wash that one dish or write that one sentence, you are already in motion.
Right, the state has changed.
Your physiological state has changed.
Yeah, I've totally felt this. You say, I'll just wash this coffee mug. You wash it, and you're standing there, your hands are already wet, the syrup is on the sponge, and you see a plate. And you think, might as well do the plate too. And suddenly, half the sink is empty.
That's it. You tricked your brain into starting.
Yeah.
And often, you will keep going. But, and this is crucial, I want listeners to really hear this, if you do stop after 5 minutes, that is still a win.
Really? Because to me, if I stop after 5 minutes, it feels like I failed to do the whole job.
It is not quitting.
Yeah.
You did 5 minutes more than 0. Mathematically, it is infinitely more than nothing.
Okay.
And you respected the contract you made with yourself. That builds trust. If you force yourself to keep going every time, your brain won't believe you the next time you say just 5 minutes.
Infinitely more than nothing. I want to put that on a sticky note. But let's be real. Sometimes even the 5 minutes feels too heavy to carry alone. We are social creatures, even when we want to hide in a cave. But asking for help? That's complicated.
It is. And this brings us to the hardest, yet perhaps most important skill in this deep dive. Outsourcing the burden.
This is tough because there is so much stigma here. Asking for help feels like admitting defeat. It feels like weakness. It feels like you're saying, I am not an adult who can handle my life.
We have to reframe that. If you broke your leg and you asked someone to help you carry your groceries up the stairs, would that be weakness?
No, that's just physics again. My leg is broken. I literally can't carry the weight.
Exactly. Depression is a health condition. It limits your capacity just as much as a broken leg. Asking for help is simply adapting to your current reality. It's being human.
But the words are hard to find. When you're in that fog, you don't know how to ask without feeling like a burden or oversharing. You don't want to dump your trauma on a colleague or a casual friend.
So use a script. The approach here is something very simple and low pressure. You don't need a 20-minute speech about your mental state. You just say, hi, I'm struggling today. Could you help me with this?
I'm struggling today. It's honest, it's vulnerable, but it's not messy. It just sets the expectation.
And people generally want to help. And sometimes it's not even about them doing the task for you. It's about the accountability loop. Just telling a friend, hey, I'm trying to draft this email, creates a tiny bit of external pressure. You know someone is waiting for an update. That can be the little push you need.
But what if you can't deal with people? What if the idea of texting a friend feels like climbing Everest? Sometimes I just want to hide.
Now then you turn to the machines. Technology can be a prosthetic for executive function.
This is where it gets really interesting to me. We live in an age where we can literally outsource our brain power.
Take AI, for instance. A lot of people use it for coding or marketing, but think about it as a mental health tool. If you need to write a difficult email to your boss explaining why you're behind and the words just won't come, use ChatGPT.
Is that allowed? It feels a bit like cheating.
Is using a crutch cheating when you can't walk? You can type in, help me write a polite email about missing a deadline, and it gives you a draft. It removes the blank page syndrome.
Ah, yeah.
You aren't creating from scratch, which is high energy. You are just reviewing and editing, which is low energy.
That's a huge distinction. Editing is so much easier than creating.
Much easier. And then there's gamification. There are apps specifically designed to turn taking care of yourself into a video game.
I've seen ads for these. It seems a little childish. Like, do I really need a cartoon bird to tell me to drink water?
It sounds trivial, but it taps into our dopamine reward systems.
Hmm.
Depression disrupts dopamine, the chemical that tells you, good job. It's why you don't feel satisfaction when you finish a task.
Yeah, okay.
In an app like Finch, you have a virtual pet.
Mm.
When you drink water or take a deep breath or step outside, your pet grows. You go on quests.
So brushing my teeth isn't a chore. It's a way to level up my virtual bird.
Exactly. It externalizes the motivation. When you can't do it for yourself, maybe you can do it for the little bird on your screen. It creates visual streaks and rewards that give you that tiny hit of dopamine that your brain is currently starving for.
It's hacking the brain's reward system just to keep the machine running.
Precisely. And speaking of machines, we also have to talk about just simple organization. Memory is expensive. Trying to remember to do things burns energy.
Yeah.
So offload it. Use Notion. Use simple alarms. If you have to take meds, set an alarm. If you need to call someone, put it in a calendar. Do not trust your brain to hold on to this information. Let the tool hold it so you can rest.
So we've talked about the micro steps, the energy management, outsourcing, but there's one more strategy that I think is the most powerful one for the end of the day. Because usually the end of the day is when the shame hits the hardest. You look at your to-do list and nothing is checked off.
The gap between what you intended to do and what you actually did feels like a canyon, and you fall right into it.
So how do we stop the fall?
You flip the script. You stop looking at the to-do list, and you create a done list.
A done list. How is that different?
It is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of focusing on the gap, the negative space, you record the history. You write down what you did do. And I mean everything.
Give me some examples, because I feel like people might think, well, I didn't do anything worth writing down.
You did something. You survived the day, so the list might look like, I opened my laptop, I sat up for 5 minutes, I typed one line, I drank a glass of water.
I moved from the bed to the couch.
Yes. Write it down. Use a notebook, a note app, whatever. You need visual evidence. When you are depressed, your brain lies to you.
Yeah.
It tells you that you are stagnant. It tells you that you are worthless.
So the done list is the proof.
The done list is the concrete evidence that the brain is lying.
It's a proof of life.
It's proof of the battle.
Yeah.
In the context of severe depression, getting out of bed is not a small thing. It is a triumph. Typing one line is a victory. The done list validates the effort it took to achieve those things.
It validates the fight.
It does. It leverages something called the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect? What's that?
Usually the Zeigarnik effect refers to the fact that people remember uncompleted tasks better than completed tasks. It's why you worry about the email you didn't send.
Yeah.
By writing down finished tasks, even tiny ones, we close that loop. We give the brain permission to acknowledge the completion.
It's interesting because it changes the narrative from I failed to finish the report to I fought hard enough to write one sentence.
And that shift in perspective is everything. It reminds you that you are moving forward. It might be slow, it might be inches instead of miles, but you are not stationary.
So let's bring this all together. We've gone from that paralyzing moment in the morning, lying in the quicksand, to the gentle recording of small wins at night.
It's a journey of compassion. We start by acknowledging the weight. We break the movement down into micro steps, wiggling toes, washing one dish. We refuse to let perfectionism stop us from doing good enough. We manage our energy by respecting our limits, using the 5-minute rule to trick our brains into motion.
We ask for help, whether that's texting a friend, I'm struggling, or letting an AI write our emails, or letting a virtual pet motivate us to drink water.
And finally, we validate ourselves with the done list. We prove to ourselves that we are fighting.
And I think that's the most important part to remember. This isn't a sprint. There is no finish line where you are suddenly fixed and everything is easy.
No, healing is a series of micro movements. It's nonlinear. Some days the done list will be long. Some days it will just say, I breathed. And that has to be enough.
Yeah.
Moving at your own pace is not failure. It is survival.
I want to leave everyone with a thought to carry with them today. We spend so much time measuring our worth by our output, by how much we produce, how many boxes we check. But what if we flip that?
If we stopped measuring our worth by how much we produce and started measuring it by how gently we treat ourselves during the hardest moments, what would your productivity look like today?
It's a question worth asking. To anyone listening who is feeling that weight right now, take a breath, wiggle your toes. You are not doing this alone. Take care of yourself.
Take care.